Not too sure where this is going to end up or what I'm going to use it for, but it kind of followed me home. Bloody Facebook Marketplace. And I thought, well, you know, it doesn't look in that bad a shape on the outside. So I pulled the little twirly things out of the tubes and I yarded off the sight glass and the thermal plug and all the rest of the plugs and valves on it. And I thought, you know, it doesn't look that bad. Must have come out of an old laundry or something. And so I gave it a pressure test, plugged all the holes, and ran her up to 1.5 times it's rated. So I pressure tested it yesterday and she was good. Filled with water, gave her a squeeze, and she was still full of pressure this morning. I bumped it back up as she dropped a couple pounds when I undid the Schrader valve. And we can see she's at 155, 160. So, yeah, what are we going to do with it? Beautiful old girl. 100 pounds. And she handles 155. No leaks. Except for maybe the threaded fittings, which I only did not that tight. So, I don't know where this is going to end up yet, or what it's going to be. But we are going to attempt to clean the insides and get all the rust out of it. Possibly with the rust removal technique from Backyard Ballistics. That's all we have today. Alright, I'm going to do a voiceover here because there was some wind and cars going by and people had a stereo on and I just don't need a copyright infraction. But I ended up using the Backyard Ballistics or Beyond Ballistics. I think he goes by both two different channels, but I'll put a link in the description. And I used his rust removal technique and ended up buying a lot of citric acid, but it doesn't go bad. So. And it worked really, really well. It stayed in the boiler for about 7 days. And I mean, it cleaned it completely. And so I'm very, very happy with how that worked out and how cheap it is and how good a job it does. And so success on that front. But the leak in the tubes, which isn't surprising with the amount of corrosion inside, was a bit disappointing. I mix it in smaller batches, like I think it's a 19-liter bucket or 5-gallon bucket, and I mix it about half full, and that gave an allowance for it to bubble up, because it does bubble up a lot when you add the washing soda. And I just did it by the weights, and that all worked in well. Threw some dish soap in it as well, and as per Backyard Ballistics. And the only thing is the washing soda does turn into hard balls because it's been sitting on the shelf for about 4 or 5 years. And so when you pour them in, there's always seems to be a bit of leftover. Balls haven't completely dissolved and I didn't want to wait. And so they end up in the funnel and I just add them back into the next batch after I've got the ratio correct. So they dissolve into the, they dissolve in. So. And it pours in nice, it doesn't stink, it doesn't make too big a mess. It's a great solution. If you can't use electrolysis, I do suggest giving this stuff a try. I haven't used the other rust removers, so I really don't have a comparison for you. I can't say if it's better or worse. What I can say is it works really well, and it's pretty cheap. Alright, I sped it up there a bit. It takes quite a bit of time for the bubbling to cease. and added just a bunch of soap. I don't know the amount, but that's what it got. And when you add it to it, it pours fine, doesn't bubble up too much, doesn't seem to react too instantly with anything. It's pretty easy breezy. So I just did it in 10-liter batches. I don't know how many I did. There was 6 or 7 batches. I'm not going to show them all here because they all look exactly the same until it was full, and let it sit for 7 days. Worked well. So in the description I will put a link to his video on the ratios. He does a great job of explaining how chemically it works, how acidic it is, and he did a lot of research and really deserves a ton of credit for coming up with this solution. So check out his video and you'll learn how to make it to the right ratios. Alright, we kind of have a successful failure. So using the backyard ballistics rust removal technique, that worked well. The boiler did not survive it though. The tubes were too badly corroded and the acid did eat through where they meet the tube sheets and it leaked. So we will find a use for this, and I did want to stop the rust. And I'll do now a caustic lye crystals in it and neutralize whatever acid is left in there and flush it, and that'll stop future corrosion, especially if I put some other rust prohibitive in there. But unfortunately it's not going to make it. It's not going to make it as a pressure vessel. But the corrosion removal does work good. So thanks, Backyard Ballistics.